computer.
Record
So
to this computer.
this is the legacy plot summary, right?
Yep. The
Okay.
legacy plot summary. The fugitives happen upon the ruins of a formerly futuristic version of Oakland, and within the Oakland Scientific Institute, they find a computer that projects a hologram that tells them that the destruction of his world is imminent, but their scientific knowledge was placed in several vaults, but the computer powers down before the message is completed. They scrounge for materials to make a battery, but guerrilla police spot them, and they split up. Verdon hurts himself and ends up captured and interrogated by Urko. He's then in prison with a woman named Arn, who's a widow of a revolutionary, and a boy named Crake, who's been giving information to guerrillas for food. Urko tells Zaius that he's deliberately letting Verdon bond with the other humans so their bond can eventually be used as leverage against them because he believes that the humans' tendencies to form families is a weakness. Burke and Galen look for Alan, but they eventually decide to focus on getting the projector working and then worry about the search later. Meanwhile, Alan tries to bond with Craig, but it isn't easy because Craig keeps pushing him away and acting out. And eventually, he breaks down and admits that he told the guerrillas about the Institute, but also helps Alan and Arden escape. Meanwhile, Pete and Galen have just gotten the machines working in time for the other three to arrive to warn them that Urko and Zaius are on the way with the guerrilla police. Urko wants the power from the vaults, but Zaius convinces him that it could be used to destroy both of them if it ends up in the wrong hands, so they burn all of it in a huge explosion. Meanwhile, Arn and Craig say goodbye as they head to her dead husband's brother's farm for safety. Craig wants Alan to come with them, but he and Arn both know that he can't. He gives Craig a firm handshake, and the fugitives head off in their own direction for more adventures.
So he gives Tim a firm handshake and gives Mom a weird hair fondling.
Yeah. Tousling?
Mm,
Tousling?
tussling.
I
No,
don't know.
tussle's different.
I wrote the last third of that a week after having watched the episode. So,
Okay. I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, my plot summary for this one is so much shorter. Okay.
yeah, it should be.
I guess there was
That
less going on.
yeah. Well, I mean, there were most of the little things were like whatever,
Hmm.
little jabs at people and whatever trickery.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna start this.
Yep.
Cool. Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about Planet of the Sharks.
Dum, bum, 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 bum,
And
bum, bum, bum.
a year before Jaws.
I know. And you see the shark so much more in this episode as well.
Yeah, it's almost like that they didn't predict how Jaws was gonna go or something.
It's tomorrow's tide. Tomorrow's tide would be Jaws, though. This is just tide, right? Because this is what we're seeing today. Today's episode is tomorrow's tide.
Is that a saying? Today's episode is tomorrow's tide?
No, that's just what I just said.
Hmm. Okay.
Did I
Tomorrow's tide
stutter?
is yesterday's wave.
Enterprise.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'm Mark.
it's Matt here
No,
doing.
tomorrow's tide is today's gain, and today's
Okay.
gain is yesterday's. Um, where's another detergent?
I don't know. I was still trying to work out a tide joke, but I don't. I live in Japan. I don't have those detergents. They say things like,
Oh,
yeah,
your
the
detergents are
detergent
Mr.
scene is
Sparkle, and that's it,
the
right?
detergent scene is very different. That's right. Some brands don't really carry over internationally, I guess.
Yep.
It's like how you
Like,
can't talk about late night talk shows with anyone in other countries.
yeah, I guess not. Well, I mean,
I mean,
I
even
don't
like
know.
American
I
late night
don't.
talk shows, like, the people in the UK would not know that stuff. It's like
I
only
still,
your country.
I still have not reached the age where, like, the last time I've really regularly stayed up and watched talk shows at night was like, I don't know, 15, because then I got a driver's license and I never was at home at night.
I've
And I'm
never
still not.
I've never watched late night talk shows, so that's not something I would talk about with people. But if you want to talk
Yeah.
about those folks, then it's kind of a just in your country thing.
I mean, I'll watch a video if the Roots did something cool on the Tonight Show, but I don't like Jimmy Fallon, so I'm not going to watch anything that I'm going to try my best not to ever see Jimmy Fallon.
I drove
Never.
Jimmy Fallon around once. That was fun. That's actually
Was he?
my only knowledge of Jimmy Fallon. I don't really know his public persona.
He wasn't funny, was he?
Well, he wasn't unfunny. He was actually. I know he had a year or two ago. It's like he's a monster, but he was
Was
groovy
he
when I read.
drunk?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think
Um.
that's like the basic thing about him being a monster is that he's just hammered and cheats on his wife or something,
Okay.
allegedly.
Well, he was like
I
in his
mean,
mid-20s or whatever when I was driving around. I will tell you that I also took the Upright Citizens Brigade around. They got hammered, hammered. Yeah,
yeah,
before and after the show. I drove them from the show to the Manhattan bar, actually.
I only met one of them, but I think he was sober, but that was probably like 20 years after that.
Right.
Um,
Anyway, it's all about sharks today. Yeah, so not late night TV, but sharks. You want to do some
hmm.
trivia for us on tomorrow's Tide?
Tomorrow's trivia is today's gain, and today's gain is I guess we'll get think of a third detergent. Um, this
Joy.
is Yeah, today's gain is yesterday's joy. Today's trivia is this is episode 6, although it was 8th in production order. Some of the water scenes were shot off Catalina Island, some were shot north of Malibu on the Pacific coast, but some were shot in a pond on a studio backlot. The shark was described by Ron Harper as a quote, plastic shark with a tiny propeller that was visible. I didn't see the propeller, but maybe I didn't look hard enough.
Hmm.
Don McDougal is back to direct. You last saw his work on The Gladiators, and he'll be back for one more episode later. This episode was written by Robert Lenski, who wrote The Good Seeds. So this is like an even numbered episode collaboration for the third even numbered episode.
Whoa.
Wow. Oh boy. And then I accidentally inserted a note in here that doesn't belong. John McLiam is here as Gato. That's Gahto, if you're wondering. He's not a cat. He was born in 1918 in Alberta, Canada. He was an intelligence officer in the U.S. Navy in World War II before making his Broadway debut in 1951, which soon led to appearances on the small screen and then the large one. He racked up 181 credits before he passed in 1994. You could see him in First Blood, in Cold Blood, and 3 episodes of The Twilight Zone, including Midnight Sun, which you hear me and Matt talk about. He was like a random background cop or something. Um, Roscoe Lee Brown plays Hurton. He was born in 1922 in Woodbury, New Jersey. He also served in World War II, competed as a track star, then suddenly decided to become an actor in his mid 30s, auditioning and winning the role of the soothsayer in Julius Caesar for the New York City Shakespeare Festival the next day after he decided suddenly he'd be an actor. I don't know if that's true or not,
That's an
but
effective plan put in motion.
that's either kind of an indictment on the entire acting profession or maybe a tall tale. Or both. He stayed with that company for years and later pivoted from stage roles to on screen roles and became well known for his commanding presence and dry wit. You can see him in Jumping Jack Flash, Dr. Scorpion, Superfly TNT, and most importantly, as Box in the movie Logan's Run, pushing fish, sea green, and fish, sea greens, and proteins from the sea. It's hard to
Yep.
say that, even if you know it
Well,
very
you're
well.
not an actor who did the soothsayer a day after deciding to become an actor.
Maybe I should have decided to become an actor yesterday, and then I would have gotten it right. Less importantly, one of his final roles was in 2007 as narrator of Epic Movie, the ninth worst rated movie on IMDb, which you can hear us talk about on the Films and Filth podcast eventually,
And many tomorrows from
several
today's.
tomorrows from now. And it will not be joy or gain.
You
Tide,
don't know
maybe. I
that.
don't
You don't know that.
and I'm educated guess. Jay Robinson appears as Bandor. He was born in 1930 and considered one of the most evil-looking character actors in Hollywood. His first two IMDb credits are playing Caligula in both The Robe and Demetrius and the Gladiators. You can also see him as Dr. Deathray on the Bay City Rollers show, Count Dracula in Train Ride to Hollywood, Count Dracula in the Bay City Rollers Meet the Saturday Superstars, Uncle Ephraim in Transylvania Twist, and Mr. Hawkins in Bram Stoker's Dracula. He allegedly passed away in 2013. Kathleen Bracken plays Soma. There isn't much about her on IMDb, but she did appear in Mayday at 40,000 Feet, Day of the Animals, and The Next Step Beyond, a sequel series to One Step Beyond. Do you know
Was
about
that
that?
one more time? The Next Step Beyond?
The Next Step Beyond.
Yeah, that's a sequel to One Step Beyond.
Is it good?
I don't know. It's a
Hmm.
show.
Okay, it's a show, right? Came
Wait,
out
Jay
after this.
Robinson's just supposed to look evil, is it?
Yeah.
He doesn't look that evil. He just looks like a dude.
Well, tell that to all the casting directors who keep casting him as Dracula and Caligula. Actually, he has like way more credits than that, but it was just fun to
There he
say
is
things
smiling.
like
Okay, how
it's fun
pleasant.
to say things like Dracula in the Bay City Rollers show or whatever the hell this. Yeah. Okay. Finally, Jim Storm is here as Romar. Born in 1943, his acting career started in the 70s. He spent a lot of time on soap operas, namely 460 episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful, 195 episodes of The Doctors, 81 episodes of Dark Shadows, and an unknown episode number of One Life to Live and The Secret Storm because I guess they didn't even keep track of number of appearances in the early 70s.
Why
Sometimes.
bother?
His most recent credit was as Donald Trump in 2024's Prisoner Trump: The Dawn of Cell Block B, which
Huh?
looks like an unbelievably low budget comedy, which seems to be an anti Trump film. The trailer looked very bad, and I'm not watching it.
Hmm.
And they went really as far as they could to make the Trump makeup look bad, that like very, very bad. So, you know,
Right.
anyway, that's the trivia.
That's the trivia.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is weird that this doesn't have like Zaius in it since the guy's like basically I guess I don't know. It's the
There's sort
same
of like
mold.
others, AS.
Yeah, it's like
I
other
mean,
Zaius. I mean, there's like
no,
I guess it's just like that guy wasn't available this week. I don't know.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I like this guy better than our whatever than our
New
series
Zaius?
Zayas.
Hmm.
Don't you kind of agree? Like he's kind of a maniac and also kind of a really spineless maniac who
Yeah,
keeps.
he was crackling a bit, so I was
It's not.
like, is it? That confused me in the episode. Maybe that's why because he was crackling a bit. And I was like, this is Zayas. Wait, he's not Zayas. What's happening?
Yeah, he was fun. I thought he was sort of a different flavor of Zayas.
Yeah.
They gave him more to do also.
I guess
Like
that's just what
where
orangutans are like. They're just typecasting
yeah.
orangutans. Hmm.
Well, the regular Zaius is kind of like, well, the voice of, he's sort of like just there to be the angel on the shoulder of Urko, but like not that angelic.
Hmm.
He's sort of like the, hey, moderate, hey, centrism. How about that, Urko?
I mean, I guess that's kind of his role in the movies with other Zayas, right? So
Well, the most you see him interact with gorillas is in Beneath, and it
that's
still
where
seems like
he's almost
he's
like a
pissed.
protagonist there, though, isn't he?
Yeah,
Because
he's like just
the
mad.
gorillas are so pissy.
He hates the gorillas until he sees, Taylor, and then he hates Taylor way more.
But those are names we will not get in this plot summary because they are not in the story.
Not yet.
Verdon, Book, and Galen come across a man doomed to die in the sea. He reluctantly tells him his name is Gato, and he has been sent to the sea gods, also known as sharks, as he is too old to be a fisherman anymore. Burke and Galen are pressed into the human slave labor fishing force for this ape community. Galen tries to claim that they are his runaway farm slaves, but Hurton, the chimp supervisor, wants to keep them as fishermen. The humans and Galen eventually work everything out, provide the community with more efficient fishing methods. More efficient fishing methods. I didn't make a mistake the first time. It was just a weird
Hmm.
thing to say. And
Efficient
escape.
fishing.
Yeah, escape just as the hometown apes decide to start shooting at their departing raft.
Hmm.
Hmm. That's what I wrote.
So that ending was pretty wacky.
Yeah, it's just like okay, everything's happy now. No, okay, shoot them now. Oh wait, they just got away. What do you know? Kind of convenient.
Yeah. It was like they went through so much trouble to be like, "Hey, look, we're your friends. We did good. We're helping you." And then they still do a big escape thing. But
I guess it's just gorillas suck. Is that the basic thing?
I guess so. I mean, ape society is like hellish. It's just hell.
Mm.
Like the beginning, they're like at the very beginning, we're given like, oh, it's a forced labor camp bracelet. They're this guy, whatever it is, like this guy will be executed or will be executed if we find anything. It's like, and then the guy's just like, please let me die. I want to die. And Galen has to keep telling him like, "Don't worry, you'll die soon."
If he wants to be dead, why can't he be dead? Now he looks dead. We also had if you lie, you die. That was kind of fun.
This is the this is how the dystopia works. Is like I can't even die.
Mm. It's all like what we've been getting are like little dystopias, right? Though, right? This is like one corner of a dystopia.
Yeah, but it's like enough of a dystopia to sub whatever you call it, subjugate two nude humans and a chimp who's a little bit
Yeah, at the end of
not
this
always
episode,
super
they've
effective.
these guys just they are like the astronauts in the movies now. They just got loincloths. So they're going to show up next week wearing like those clothes again.
Yeah, there's something in their contract where they have to be nude sometimes in
Hmm.
every episode, if not a lot.
Well, that's a Planet of the Apes thing, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it,
whatever. And so much for it's funny how it's just it seems like television from this era is just yeah, find a thing to hang your hat. Find as many things you can to hang your hat on. Oh, yeah, they're always nude.
hmm,
That's the thing.
very different than the Never Nude, right?
I guess it's like the opposite of that, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
guess always nude would be the opposite of never nude, but
Mm.
I don't think there's a TV series with that unless you count like Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen. I guess he's always nude.
Right, right. He can't be bothered with pants.
Yeah, the I tire of these pants. Their
Mm.
zippers, their buttons.
Anyway, I think it's now very clear that they do not have this magnetic disc anymore. If they
Maybe the
did, if they
shark has
still,
it.
right, if they still did at the start of this episode, they don't by the end. That's for sure.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
fire
I mean,
swimming trial didn't seem that
well, yeah.
I mean,
The
it'd
the
be a little
difficult thing
freaky.
was the main difficulty of everything in this episode seemed to be that there was that one gorilla with a rifle, and
Yeah.
he also, just straight up killed a shark with one shot. Whereas, like,
Yeah,
one of them
that
did say, like, "Where were you yesterday?" And like, that is a good point. Like, why even have people fish if you could just shoot a shark and kill it immediately?
that doesn't seem like it'd be effective though. I don't think you could just stand sentry at a beach and shoot sharks from there. That seems like
No,
not it's kind of like, oh, we're doing something. I mean, it's not helpful, but we're doing something. Or don't you aren't you happy now?
well, it's like, yeah, find me one gun. I guess you could maybe if you had like an AK-47, you could kill a shark
And then they're doing
with
it from
it.
far away. They're like way up on the beach, like shooting over the heads of the humans and then hitting the sharks. That's not effective at all.
Yeah, sharks aren't
I
they
mean, they
kind
don't
of
care if they hit the
armored?
humans, so whatever. But
Yeah. That would have made this episode a lot funnier if they just like every time they shot at the shark, that just like a random human was like, "Oh God." You know what I mean? Like they just had a bunch of collateral damage.
they got some nice nature footage of sharks
And
in
then
here, though. Did Sea Hunt
yeah,
get that with Lloyd Bridges? Did he get to swim with sharks like this?
I don't know. I didn't see Seont. That sounds like a made up title.
No, that's a real show
It sounds like
with
a
Lloyd
way to say a
Bridges.
curse word.
It's Lloyd Bridges as a serious TV action star.
You saying it's serious makes it also sound wrong.
He's very
Wrong.
serious in it. Very serious.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Ah.
Also,
Um,
why are these waters so shark infested? And if they are the shark infested, I mean, sharks aren't, they don't just eat you all willy-nilly. I mean, they like, well, they're probably just like, checking you out or whatever. I don't know. I haven't had much shark experience.
I mean, despite that they seem to have filmed at least some of this in the ocean or at least like kind of
Next
off
to
the
the
coast
ocean. That's the
next to the
beach.
ocean, it
Yeah.
does really feel like it's just a lake with sharks in it, which I think is the plot of Jaws 2 anyway. But,
Yeah. Well, I lost that thought there. Let's see.
hmm,
We got sharks, got the sea. Oh yeah, yeah. He definitely was like, oh, that's Malibu, isn't it? And then they instantly say it's Malibu, and they shot at Malibu, so I guess Malibu's a recognizable place.
yep. Welcome to Sharky Malibu.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I guess people were that into sharks. I feel like most of the Jaws knockoffs, well, understandably, would come after Jaws, right? So this is and maybe there was something in the water, in the early '70s about that sort of thing. I guess there's a lot
I,
of like nature monster movies, like frogs that kill you and stuff.
I am going to guess that because the development of Jaws was considered like super hellish and took forever, that while they were making Jaws, these guys knew they were making Jaws. Um, and then we're like, oh, let's get this shark episode out because everybody's gonna be talking about sharks because they probably expected Jaws to come out before this.
Yeah. What was the actual airing date for this? It's in here somewhere. October 18th. It's still like half a year before Jaws comes out.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they knew it was coming, right? Like, I mean,
Did
it's one of
they?
those things where,
Because they
yeah,
shot down the East Coast as well, and at the time it was just kind of like a for hire
huh?
deal, or it was
That's
kind of still just a hired gun, just like making most of it, right?
interestingly, I didn't know this. The book came out in February 1974, so that's interesting.
Okay.
Um, Jaws was shot from May to October 1974. What studio is this? I
Uh
mean, what are we doing here? What's the studio that made Planet of the Apes?
oh,
I don't have that in front of
Fox.
me.
Fox made the Apes,
Okay.
Universal made Jaws. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there could be people that know people, but I'm just not convinced
Yeah.
there's like a direct connection between the two. So,
Well, that's my best guess.
hmm.
And my because it's like that things didn't necessarily, but we also
The
I
question
think
is,
that
did they jump the shark though? I don't think they jump a shark in this. Nobody
I mean,
flies over a shark.
can you call it jumping a shark if they like attack a shark and kill it? Is that jumping a shark?
I guess in a way, yeah. So, but they aren't on like a motorcycle or anything, so that's different.
Yeah.
I guess there are more sharks on 70s TV than I thought. Bringing that up. When did Fonzie jump the shark? That was like 77. That's a few years later, right? That was way post Jaws.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that episode at all. I know I probably
People
saw
didn't
it,
like it.
but
That's where the expression comes from, right?
yeah, I know. It's like I just don't remember seeing it when I was a kid. I remember it more from it being a reference than um okay, well, I guess
September
they
20th, 1977. So yeah, that's a long time after. Only season 5. I felt like you got a few more years out of Happy Days before it was considered to be post Shark Jump, but what do
yeah,
I
I
know?
mean when I was a kid and I saw Happy Days, I thought they actually filmed it in the 50s.
Yeah, I think I did too. Yeah, that was kind of, and then American Graffiti was even more confusing because it was like, well, here's the same thing, but it's different.
I didn't ever see that.
Hmm.
Should I?
I don't know. It's not too hard to watch the entire George Lucas directorial filmography. So
Well, I'm
he
not
only
going to do
directed
that
like
because
you
I'm not,
watch
there are
Red
three of
Wings.
those I'm not. There are three of his movies I'm not going to watch again, and I'm assuming that Red Wings is not great,
I have
so I
to watch
probably won't
Strange
watch that either.
Magic
So, what
sometime soon for that Disney podcast,
the
which
hell is
was
that?
a 2015 animated film that Lucas made under the banner of Disney because he'd already sold Star Wars to Disney, and he's like, "Well, in this one, it's going to be like a Star Wars for girls." That was his
What?
pitch or whatever.
How did I
I
never
only
hear about this?
I
What
only
the
just
hell?
learned about this movie because
Oh,
I was looking at my list of movies I'm doing for that podcast. So,
I don't see his name on it. Did he just produce it? Oh,
uh,
he got a story by credit,
yeah.
but he's not listed as a writer. He just has a story by.
I mean, he's involved in it. Strange Magic, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, it seemed like at least kind of a pet project for him. Sorry, a few years later is A Strange World, and I mixed up with
Hmm.
that. Produced.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually made by Lucasfilm. Okay, as part
Yeah.
of the.
Good
It's
cast.
Yeah, it's the only non like Star Wars thing I guess Lucasfilm did. So because all their other animation would be like Clone Wars.
Didn't Lucasfilm do like Indiana Jones movies?
I'm talking animation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, there's no animation yet. Yet we will be into animated apes pretty soon, but we're not there quite
yeah.
yet. So
And it'll
just
be better than that probably.
yeah,
Just
probably.
guessing, you know. Who directed that? God, that poster looks like garbage.
Which one?
Gary, right? The poster for Strange Magic. I'm just
Oh,
obsessed with it now.
okay. I got you a new
Oh, he
obsession.
was like a sound guy from Lucasfilm. He's just sound department and like
Yeah,
everything.
Lindstrom. I recognize his name.
160
Is he the guy
things.
that came up with the lightsaber sound? Maybe.
I thought it was Ben Burt.
Oh, that's probably correct. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because
He
there's that experimental film from the late 60s that already has the lightsaber sounds in it.
he directed like a short. He directed two shorts, and he directed Strange Magic, and then he directed a short after that, and that's it. He's done.
Okay. Um,
He's dead. He's not dead. Just kidding.
oh, last week I was talking how Roddy was kind of annoying. He was on point in this episode. It was like a weird contrast that because his banter like really was like working. Maybe it's just the other actors worked better.
I really liked the dialogue in this episode. It was very just continuously weird, and Bandor is a maniac. Wait, Bandor? Damn it. I'm getting these guys mixed up. Hurton is the one who's a maniac.
How could you get such
Bandor
simple
is
names mixed up, man?
Bandor is a maniac, but he doesn't show up until the end. But Hurton is like especially weird and insane. And it's like, we compare him. I don't know. Compare him with like the pre. You remember with the Gladiators, the prefect was like kind of weird, but this guy is like
Yeah,
full
and then
on.
the ape family and the good seeds was, like relatively chill. Whereas this is a chimpanzee with gorilla energy, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, they're like, and they, for as much as Planet of the Apes, the original film, like pivoted on weird religious beliefs, we kind of haven't gotten that so far, aside from maybe the belief that humans would curse cows or eat them or something. But this is like definitely we found a cult, you know?
Yeah, and maybe it's like, 70s TV still doesn't want to hit the religion button too hard. Not as hard as a
Well,
movie might.
um, also it might just be that um like times have changed and the 70s was probably just more chill than the 60s was. I don't know. And some people don't want to go and do religious stuff. Rod Serling did, or for the most part.
Yeah. Um, Hurton. See, now I'm losing their
Hurton.
names. Hurton. He had a banner. Did you see the community banner, which had a side profile of his face? In contrast to the what ape national flag we got last week, which was a ape face looking straight at you on a red background. This was like it looked like
Yeah.
a pencil or a pen sketch of Hurton in profile on a yellow banner.
Yeah. God, what a guy. I would watch an entire movie of like those two just messing around. And we get a name drop of Urko in this too.
Well, yeah,
Just
yeah,
we feel his presence.
a little bit of continuity, I guess, just to keep the thing together. Which, I mean, in other ways, we wildly ignore the continuity, but whatever. Um,
Yeah.
Although I did say a few episodes ago, they're like, "Let's go west." I'm like, "That's stupid. They're going to be pinned on the sea, right?" And now they're pinned on the sea, and they end up in a slave community. So it was a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, but then how do they get away? The sea.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
See?
See? Yeah. Checkmate.
And they
Apes.
they seem
I
really
mean, not
happy about
apes.
being there too, which I don't get it. I guess they're just
What?
beach bums. Yeah.
I meant to say checkmate fugitives. The apes are the ones who are pursuing. It's always the apes versus them, except for there's an ape. It's so confusing.
Yeah. I mean, they're not really being pursued in this episode. They just end up in a stupid place.
Yeah.
There's a difference. I guess that's the thing. Like maybe where you were saying dystopia, it feels a little more dystopian because it is like he's like, I'm from way far away. I'm from Central City or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
But
we're
I mean,
definitely.
Galen did come in really clutch with the lies.
Well,
So
he's
like
not
just
a good con man, as we've learned in past episodes. I mean, it seems he was just kind of a fluent guy that ends up being on the run with these folks, you know?
I'm just saying I think he did a way better job this time. It was just the fact that you can't like reason with a weird cult leader guy, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, but it still didn't work at all, is my point. Like he's not able to
Yeah.
finesse these con man jobs very well because he instantly stumbles into contradicting what the other guy said, right?
Well, but he also talked his way out of that. He was like, "Oh, they're liars," and then they got weirdly like offended by him calling them liars,
You
even though
liar.
I'm like, you should be letting Galen make a plan, whatever the backup plan for you all the time. Like they should have this memorized. It's really stupid that they're just like sneaking over to this stupid like shark place and just getting caught. Like they super carelessly getting caught. Like
Yeah, it
we've
was like
seen definitely
it,
seen them get like super careless a couple of times. Like in the Gladiators, they're just like fighting guys. You
and
know, it's like
they
not.
were with that gorilla for like 20 minutes. They could have overcome the one gorilla walking
I
back
don't know.
yeah. I mean, he's got a gun or whatever, but I don't know. I think they could have subdued that gorilla at some point if they really wanted to.
If he was like, if we were to assume that gorillas evolved to the point where they have bodies that are more like humans, sure. But if it was like a realistic gorilla, they probably couldn't.
Yeah,
It's just that nobody in this is going to have a realistic gorilla body because it's
right.
impossible.
Not like all these 70s ripped dudes where they got their fire swimming panties on. The starting gun was a
Yeah,
little rude. It's like, okay, get going, and we're shooting right at you. That's not how that works.
that was hilarious. It's like, yeah, man, that guy is just, he kills sharks. Look out.
No, I think I can make it. Did you have to snag a fish under the fire? That was like extra, right? Because I'm like, I think I could swim under that fire. But I don't think I'd get a fish while I was doing it, you know?
I don't think that apes, if they can't, if apes are too stupid to invent a net, then they're too stupid to understand that you will fish better if someone's not shooting at you.
But then the movies, they're just like drowning in nets. That's like their go-to weapon. There's nets all over the place in the movies. Like their budget was nets and oranges for those movies, you know?
Well, that's 1,000 years from now. They haven't, this is the origin story of the net. The
Ah,
apes take
okay.
this net and then they go, they run with it and it becomes their entire civilization. For a while, a few hundred years from now, the flag will just be a net with an ape's face on it.
So Burke and Verdon actually did something like quite horrible here by starting the net revolution.
You could probably assume that if you're in a society like this, anything you teach that your captors will be used against you. It's like remember a few years ago when Trump was lying a whole bunch and people started saying fake news,
A few
and then
years
he
ago.
started using he started I
I'm
don't know
glad
10
everything's
years
worked out
ago
now.
he like started using fake news himself almost immediately, and now it's like he's more known for saying the term fake news than the people who used it on him.
Yeah,
It's
own
like he
it, I
just learned
guess,
it
you know?
or steal it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, no news here though, but yeah, have they gotten snagged in a net in the series? I guess not. I guess this is the genesis of apes and nets becoming a thing.
Well, it probably isn't, and they probably were not thinking about this like
Oh,
as much as we are.
I like the idea that it is though, right? Because there's so many nets in the later ones.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
but then the conquest and the battle apes are using a lot of nets too, right? So that's before this.
you
Or they
can
lost net.
just
They forgot
assume
about their nets for a while.
they just wanted to have sharks, and they thought it was cool, and they just had to write themselves out of it.
The
They had to
dogs and
write, well, they had
cats
to
showed
write our
up again and
heroes
they
out of it.
forgot all about the nets. That's what happened.
Yep, yep. There's at least two dogs. We know that one of them was there because it was just a stray that was on the set, but I think the other one was just there
I haven't been paying
also.
full attention, but no one on the show is credited with continuity. Is that correct? They don't have like a
I
continuity.
didn't see that. I
Because
don't
we
know.
did see that in Space 1999. Remember season two? They actually had someone credited with continuity that didn't do the
Yeah.
best job. But what can you do?
Well, you never know. That could just be someone that got paid to hang out with Fred Freiberg or something, and they didn't do anything.
That might be the case. Who knows? So yeah, we got that. And anything else that you wanted to throw out, just observation wise? I do like making
Well,
yourself known with a gong. Isn't that how that dude gets attention at the end? Just
yes,
starts banging the gong. Yeah,
yes.
kicking the
This
gong around.
this was pretty fun. Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about because I feel like a lot of the best stuff is just weird little vignettes of people talking to each other. Like the every time that Galen had to assure Gatto that he could die eventually was very funny as hell to me.
I
Oh
think
yeah, yeah, I took it down. I promise you, sooner or later you will be able to die. Can we put that on the back of the DVD box?
isn't that like the we just did the Dark Knight Rises, right? I give you you don't die without my
Yeah.
permission or whatever, right? So and a
Yeah,
little
well there was the whole thing
aggressive
where he
there.
tells one of the guys, search him, then I will kill you.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't remember if I talked about that on our podcast episode, but when I saw that movie, I was like, that's the best line in this movie.
Right. I guess what Tomorrow's Tide has, which maybe, like you said, makes it a little bit more difficult to talk about, is it has a lot of like stuff that would really stand out in a B movie, you know? Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of B movie hits to this one, which so maybe you put I think this got paired up with the final episode, I guess because that one was
Yes.
shot basically in the same place, like Malibu or whatever. So,
Yes, you're correct. And
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one because of the theme.
right. So I don't know, maybe the two of them together do have like some fun B movie energy because it's just yeah, it has lots of those weird choices, you know. You get those touches. We got the space fruits in the first episode, that sort of thing, right?
Well, the whole dynamic of like the kind of sniveling, scheming bad guy in charge of a village, and then another guy shows up who's even weirder and more insane, and then they're trying to kind of impress each other. That's a very B movie thing,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like
Just get a couple
um,
weird guys to chew scenery. Not
yeah,
necessarily A-list guys, but weird guys that can do their thing well while
yeah,
wearing monkey
Hurton and
masks.
Bandor. Yeah, no, they're not chewing scenery as much as Urko, who Urko is a total A-list
Oh
villain.
yeah. Well, he comes and screams, throws people around. We get none of that here. Like this is a more chill episode. I mean, there's the you could get
Right.
eaten by a shark thing, but it's
Yeah.
not that likely you're going to get eaten by a shark, really. Does anyone actually get eaten by a shark in this?
No,
No.
they can't
The
afford to do that.
sharks as
Does anyone
gods of the
even
sea,
die in
though.
this?
That one guy gets shot, but it seems to be a flesh wound.
Uh, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, what's his name? Romar. Romar? Is that him?
Yeah, we
He was like, my wife. He's his wife is the daughter of Gato.
yeah, the
Got him real
humans
quick.
are okay. The humans are extremely not interesting in this. We will throw
Yeah,
that out. Like,
true.
in contrast to how fun the two, uh, our orangutan and other chimp are. Yeah, and then yeah, getting Roddy in the mix with the others. It's just it does become just like a weird comedy routine for a while. So
I
I
have no
support that.
issue with that. I really I had a lot of fun with the ensemble comedy-ness of it, and Burke and Virden felt like they had more to do of me. They had more to do than usual of consequence. I don't know if that's
We
true or
did note
not.
we were noting and they did break that with this episode. We're like, oh, it's Roddy's with one of the humans and one of the humans other guys isolated, right? Whereas
Hmm.
this one is has the guys stick together and then Roddy's off, you know, having
Yep.
weird conversations with men who want to be dead and apes that are insane.
Yes. Yeah. This is fun. This is broken the even numbered episode curse.
Hmm. How fun is it though? Versus
Um,
existential dread. Let's get to that.
well, hmm. It's like you can't give an episode with sharks in it a zero existential dread.
Right.
You
That
know
was
what I
my
mean?
first thought. The sharks give you a little bit of that because
And
you're
the fact that there's a guy shooting at you on the beach, I give it like 30% dread, 70% fun.
okay, I was going 20 dread 80 fun. There is a lot of sci-fi
Yeah.
fun here. Like I said, it has so
Yeah.
many like signifiers of weird B movies that perk. In a B movie usually has like three of those things. So the hit
Yeah.
rate in this one episode is pretty high, I think, for just weird B movie sort of stuff.
I think that just the nature of the series, there's always going to be like a little bit more dread than there would be just because there's a dystopian hellscape and you're in a prison camp the entire time. You know, it's like
Yeah,
there,
that adds a
and
little bit in
even
there.
and the fact that at the very end they can't even talk themselves out of it, even with the brilliant all the brilliant scheming they do. It's like they still were going to die if they hadn't have tricked their way off of the whatever in under a raft away from the beach.
And it takes them like what a whole minute for them to realize that those guys are floating away.
Yeah, they're not, you know, that let's just say they're not smart enough to invent a net by themselves.
Right. So, how many bananas do you want to give this one?
Giving it 5 bananas, and I'm gonna give that 2.5 bananas. Well, I'm giving Hurton 3 bananas. I'm giving Bandor 2 bananas. That's all my bananas that I'm giving out. It's
Okay.
just to them. That's like the whatever you call it when you give flowers to people after play.
Mm. I've got wet bananas. Does anybody want a wet banana?
I mean,
You can have as many wet bananas
sure.
as you want, but they're wet. They're
Does it
salty.
matter?
They're salty bananas. They're wet and
Salty.
salty, but because they're in the sea,
Is that Japanese?
they
Is
smell
that
kind of
Japanese
fishy.
food?
No, they smell a little fishy, like a shark.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure I can't go to Japan and eat a dish that says wet salty banana?
I don't
'Cause I
know.
bet you're not. I bet you're not sure.
That smells like shark meat.
Yeah,
Okay,
I bet
that's
you're not sure.
how many of those bananas do you want?
I'll try one.
Okay, well then this
And
episode
if I
only gets
like
one
it,
wet banana, wet salty banana that smells fishy.
sure.
That's I have spoken. Um,
um,
we can
what
wind this one down then, unless you have a final thought.
um, having fun with this series. Still having fun with this series. I don't expect that to change because we're like, a third of the way through it or so.
More than that.
More than that, okay, yeah, half-ish.
Not quite that. Like
Okay,
42%
okay.
in.
There are numbers, and they correspond to how far we are in the series. If you would like some wet, salty bananas for your ears to put into your ears, then check out other fine podcasts on podcastiopodcastius.org or follow us on Blue Sky at Podcast. You check out Game Show, Time Enough Podcast, Occult Disney, Blue Close Pokemon, Monster Mash, shows about games, shows about TV, shows about movies, and nothing else.
Radio. That's it. Okay.
That's
Oh,
it.
you're just floating away. I guess I should start shooting at you at some point.
Shoot at what?
Puchang. Up, you're back. You're back behind the rocks. Too bad.
Yep, that's what you get for not inventing
Nets.
something. You didn't invent the grappling hook yet,
Mm.
you stupid apes.
Okay. I guess I'll
Right.
stop it there.